Brian Palavado on Far here with Alex Varner before the 2015 Lake Sonoma 50 mile. How are you, Alex?
Good, thanks, Brian. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome to San Francisco.
Thank you. It's a beautiful day here. I know there was some rain yesterday, but it is 60 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, it cleared up nice. It was a little rainy last night as well, I think, and we'll see. Maybe that keeps some dust off the trails tomorrow, or Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. Looks like pretty good conditions all around. You know, high, low 70s. No rain.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be nice, and you know, it's one of the, well, we have a decent amount of course races around here that are pretty high profile, but always staying local is an advantage, I think.
Totally.
Yeah,
not having that travel and
not worried about altitude or strange inclines or what have you,
or flight delays or missing shoes or
certainly.
Well, you had quite the last year was more or less your first year of ultra running. You had a bootlegger the year before, but now that you've had a couple months to reflect back on, getting second at Way Too Cool, fourth here, seventh at Western States, third at North Face. What do you think of your first year as an ultra runner?
I went pretty well, probably about as well as I could hope for. No complaints, and there's some room for improvement. So I'd like to do the best I can to kind of take advantage of that. But yeah, training's gone well, and I'm looking forward to another year. I think I've gotten a little bit smarter about picking races. Last year at this point, I'd already run 250Ks, and kind of decided not to do that this year and take it a little bit easier on the racing side. But that's soon to change. So
you think there's room for improvement? Is that just through experiences? Is it changing with your training? Is it changes with racing? What are you going to do differently this year to make yourself a better runner?
All of the above. I think, you know, having run my first 50 milers and 100 miler last year, there's a lot that comes from that, you know, even training can't duplicate. Just kind of learning what your body is able to do and what it can't do, what works, what doesn't. Training-wise, you know, I started working with Jason Koop in September, and he got me in good shape for North Face. And you know, we've had a solid training block here, heading into Sonoma, and you know, kind of getting ready for some of the summer races. So I'm excited to see what that brings. So yeah, kind of firing on all cylinders, hopefully.
Yeah. In terms of racing, like, where do you think having that experience will make you a little more conservative early on, or does it just give you more confidence to actually push the entire race harder? How will you change that?
I think going in, you know, when the Sonoma last year was my first 50 mile, and I was laughing at the sirens.
Oh yeah,
welcome to San Fran. And Western States, you know, I really played it conservatively in those because I didn't know what was coming. You know, beyond a marathon or 50K, everything was unknown. And so having done that, having seen that distance, and kind of having almost a different type of fitness under my belt with the new training plan, it gives me a little bit more confidence to kind of go out maybe a little bit harder than I have in the past. Okay. I still like running races where I'm comfortable in the first half to, you know, 2/3, and then kind of be able to push in the later parts. But I was, you know, actually kind of thinking this on the way in, but everybody is pretty shot in the last 10 miles of a 50 mile or a 100 mile, and realizing that, okay, that's going to come either way, whether I start conservatively or not. They're just far distances to run no matter what pace you're at. So being able to kind of maybe take it out a little bit harder, and just know that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah. So you say you've changed up your training a little bit. How is that? Because it seems, from what I know of Jason Koop's training, it would be more like what you've done in college as opposed to some of the guys who didn't come from a collegiate background.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, college was its own system. Every school kind of has their own thing. My coach was great. Switched around philosophies a couple of years, so I don't think we ever kind of had the benefit of getting a consistent program over a couple of years. But coming out of college, you know, I was running, you know, last couple of years I was running with West Valley, and we have a coach who trains us for, you know, 5K, 10K, marathons, and cross country. And so I was running all my ultras on those workouts. You know, I think I ran headlands and bootlegger off of cross country workouts with some longer runs than there on my own. But the Koop stuff it's much more specific, you know, kind of in the college and even in the West Valley program, you do kind of Tuesdays are track intervals, Thursday, Friday is a more field-based run, whether it be a fartlek or a tempo. You have a long run, and with Koop, it's all one phase for 5, 6, 7 weeks. So it was all VO2 max. So I was doing, you know, 3 workouts a week of 3-minute intervals, and that was the longest workout I did. Or longest interval I did was 3 minutes for about 5 weeks. And it went from, you know, 6x3 to 7x3 to 8x3 to 10x3. And then it switched to, you know, kind of tempo VO2, or not VO2, tempo intervals. So I've done everything from 8, 10, 12 minutes at a time, 3 or 4 intervals of those per workout, and doing that 3 times a week, and trying to vary up the terrain, whether they be all uphill or flat or rolling or down. So while the idea, the workouts are more similar, it's the way that they're kind of grouped is changed drastically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So one thing with Jason Coop, he works with Carmichael Training Systems, and there's a couple degrees of separation from the whole Lance Armstrong thing and the doping thing, and you've engaged in some conversations with folks on I Run Far about this. How do you sort of work with that? How did you come to work with Jason Coop, and probably knowing that there's this little bit of a cloud?
I can see that, and it's so I learned of him through Dylan Bowman, who spoke really highly of him. I talked with a couple of people about coaching opportunities in terms of what I was looking for when I was trying to find someone, and his philosophy just kind of fit well with me. I liked what I liked the results he got with Dylan, the workouts he was running. Kind of seemed like the sort of thing that played to my strengths a little bit more, and that was the main reason for my choosing him. The Carmichael thing. I think there are probably a lot of reasons that nobody knows, and that's kind of where it sits with me. But ultimately, what it comes down to is I'm the one running the workouts. I'm the person who's putting in the work, and that's kind of what matters.
And you're choosing Coop
because of personal recommendation, what I know of the guy. I know the guy. I would readily go to bat for him. And that's kind of what matters to me. There's always, there not always, but a lot of kind of organizations that might have not the best overall image. That doesn't mean that there can't be great people within them.
I mean, I guess that brings up a broader question, is like, obviously cycling in general, just like to get off Carmichael, you're cycling in general, like we just all sort of roll our eyes. Like I was driving in past Candlestick Park, there's the whole steroid era in baseball. Like right now there's kind of like, we really haven't had that scandal in like at least like American ultra running in terms of drugs. But we also aren't naive. So they're just kind of like, this could be a problem in the sport.
I think,
and there's a lot of like sort of tangential, like, oh, this person is 3 degrees separated from X, and that raises questions, but there's no system in place to.
And I think that's the unfortunate part, is the people who are raising questions, like, they need to be asked. But the problem is we have no way of answering them, and it's the obvious answer is, okay, let's start drug testing, and I think 9 out of 10, if not 99 out of 100, people in the ultra community will volunteer to be tested and will be clean. But there will be that one person where you find out and you're like, oh shoot, that really stinks for the community. But there's no way to implement that. It's expensive. It's time. It takes a lot of time. You need manpower, and right now that's just not where it's at. And I think as more sponsor dollars come in, it's probably headed in that direction. And I kind of I'd be surprised if it isn't. But until then, the questions will remain largely unanswered.
Probably heading both ways in that direction in terms of usage, possible usage, and testing. I think maybe it's the point that in a few years, the incorporation of more sponsor dollars, whether it's toward athletes or toward events or toward promotion in general, they're going to want a clean sport.
I think that'll probably start getting written into contracts and stuff like that. I mean, people I've talked to, I don't think a lot of guys have kind of drug testing written in their contracts, which doesn't surprise me in ultra running, but at the same time, it's not hard to write in, and it seems like it'd be something that would kind of cover your bases.
It's a character clause, whether because it covers doping or going on a drunken methamphetamine rage or something.
That's true. But I think it's something that's coming, and it'll be I'd like to be kind of see how it plays out.
And because at the moment there's a couple races in the world that really have testing. There's no anything resembling a testing regimen unless you've been on the podium or win an IAU.
And even then, I mean, I was looking at Ellie Greenwood's Twitter, and she was saying, "Oh, I'm back on the IAU. Where are you 4 hours a day?" And it's just like they're not going to knock on Ellie's door. Let's be real. They're worried about the guys who are running the Diamond League and earning tens of thousands of dollars. So I think
WADA is not a priority.
No, Western States is not kind of high on their radar, despite it being high profile. They're not breaking down doors.
I mean, so in May you're going to the World Championships, the IAU Trail World Championships in Annecy, and I'm assuming there'll be some sort of testing, but that's like 2 months
in advance. It's like the NFL marijuana policy. Like, we're going to test you within this window. And
shave your head,
and
right?
If you're not dumb enough to get caught there. Yeah, I mean, and, you know, it's very obvious if we're going to be tested, when we're going to be tested. And, not that that's, you know, something that we're concerned with.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, it's there, and it'll be interesting if it happens. It happens some in college. You know, kind of NCAA would do that, but it was always at the coach's discretion, and it always seemed like the kid he liked the least got picked. So we'll see if that's the case with this. But,
it's interesting in that there have been, I mean, more and more studies are showing that, like, when there has been like doping in running or cycling, that those effects are permanent.
Yeah.
And lifelong. So it's Italy, I believe, their athletic federation may have enacted late last year. You can't represent Italy anymore.
Yeah.
If you have one ban.
And I think that's what's been surprising to me is you do, it's proven you know you get the benefits years and years after you dope. And also, I'm pretty sure, well, I might be wrong on this, but it doesn't seem like they test as rigorously when you're banned. Yeah. So you get caught doping. Okay, you're banned for 4 years. Great. Well, I'm going to go train with steroids for 4 years. And, you know, half a year out from being reinstated, I'll get clean.
I mean, like, regardless of, you know, the actuality, like, that brings up questions like with Justin Gatlin, like, I don't know. I think Paula Radcliffe put it well in that tweet she sent out, where it's, you know, the people that I work with at Nike, that's it's kind of it's an interesting choice, you know, an interesting decision. I would love to hear the reasoning behind it. I'm sure there is reasoning behind it, but you know, that's kind of not, you know, the guys on my team, people are kind of everybody's scratching their heads. Yeah.
And it's you know, it's just a kind of a weird position to be in.
Yeah. Well, I didn't ask that really.
No,
but as like a general point, and like,
yeah, it's you know, it's good. It's kind of a head scratcher. But again, you know, if you kind of believe that the you know, people have kind of analogized it to the prison system, where it's, you know, you did your crime, you know, you paid the price, and you should be fully reinstated.
But in a way, unlike, say, if you stole somebody's car and you eventually paid it back, or whatever,
it's cut and dried. Whereas this doping, you can benefit from it indefinitely. So
it'd be interesting to see if, you know, if it ever becomes a problem, or when it becomes a problem in our sport.
And I think, you know, the biggest advancements is going to be in that biological passport.
Yeah,
ultimately,
but then
that'll be.
How does ultra running or trail running?
Yeah, no, I think ultra running will always be a step behind.
The cost of a biological passport.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, is prohibitive.
Yeah, and it's a small enough sport where plenty of people can jump into the sport and compete at a top level, that, like, you can't test all the possible legitimate contenders for.
Oh yeah, you see what's happening at all these races. There's a couple of names in the you know, top 5, top 10. You're like, who the hell is that? Where did they come from?
Yeah, and then they're up there the rest of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting, Alex. It sort of went off on a tangent, but thank you for answering. Or
talking
happy
to help out.
Yeah.